We'll do the Mamer, וחזקת והיית לאיש. In Maimori Melukat, in Chelik Dalet, the fourth volume, this is the 11th Mamer. And the Rebbe said this Mamer, it was Monday, the portion of Piנחas, and it was the 19th day of Tamuz in Tovshin Chof Ches. That was said, as I said in the note over here, that was said the previous Rebbe's, both the Rebbe's bris and also the seventh day of the previous Rebbe's bar mitzvah took place on the 19th of Tammuz. The Frierdiker Rebbe was born on Yud Beis Tammuz. So Yud Tes Tammuz was the 8th day in which the bris took place. It was also the celebration of the Rebbe's bar mitzvah was basically for 7 days, the 7th day of the celebration, which the Rebbe Rashab gave this Mamer of וחזקת והיית לאיש. Later on, they published it in a Kuntres Yud Tes Tammuz in the year Tavshin Mem Tes, and over there it says that this was done in honor of Yud Tes Tammuz that is coming upon them, which was the day that the previous Rebbe entered the covenant of Avraham Avinu Olav Hashalom in the year Tov Reish Mem, and the 7th day of this Bar Mitzvah celebration in the year Tov Reish Nun Gimel. The date on the Kuntres is Yud Gimel Tammuz Chag HaGeula Tavshin Mem Tes. Okay, so let's do the Mamer inside. The וחזקת והיית לאיש. This is a pasuk in Malachim Aleph, in Perek Beis, pasuk Beis. He says, you shall be strong and you should become a man. You'll be into a man. In a Yodua, it's known שהמיימר שאומר אדמו"ר מהרש"ב נשמוס עדן ביום השביעי דחגיגס הבר מצווה של בני יחידו יקבד קידושס מריחום אדמו"ר. That the Mamer that was said by the Rebbe Rashab on the 7th day of the bar mitzvah celebration of his only son, which is the Frierdiker Rebbe, which was on Yud Tes Tammuz, Tov Reish Nun Gimel, the 19th day of Tammuz in the year Tov Reish Nun Gimel, which is the bar mitzvah year of the Frierdiker Rebbe, who was born in Tov Reish Mem. This Mamer concludes and ends that Hemshech, the continuous Maimorim, the Tefillin, the More Alma, the Pasuk that the Mamer Chazal that says that what is written in the Tefillin of Hashem, and that Mamer Shehischi Loimer B'Yud Beis Tammuz Yema Bar Mitzvah. He started saying it on the day of the Frierdiker Rebbe's Bar Mitzvah, and the last Mamer by the last of the Hemshech on the 7th day of the Bar Mitzvah started with this pasuk וחזקת והיית לאיש. The pasuk zeh, it started with this pasuk. What is the connection of וחזקת והיית לאיש? Because a Bar Mitzvah boy becomes an ish when he turns 13. The Ashaychas, the Posik Zeh, וחזקת והיית לאיש, the Bar Mitzvah Pashtus. What is in Pashtus? What is the connection? Api HaYedua, based on what is known, the Zeh sheben shloish esrei davke mechuyev b'mitzvahs. Why is it when you turn 13, only then specifically you're obligated the mitzvahs? Is ke'oz davke nikra b'shem ish. Because that's when he's called a man. He can be obligated. As a man, he can be obligated to do mitzvahs. So the Rebbe asks, since naturally the person is a man when he turns 13, so why do we have to pray for him? He's already an ish. So we need to understand the Mekiv on Sheben Yud Gimel Shana Nase Ish Al Pitava. Since at the age of 13, a child becomes naturally, according to nature, becomes a man, a grown-up. So what is the emphasis to say Chagigas bar mitzvah, when we're celebrating a bar mitzvah, v'chazakta v'yit la'ish, you should be strong and be a man. He's already a man. That's when he turned 13. That's one question. Usually also the idea of turning 13 means that the person matured intellectually at a level that he is responsible for doing mitzvahs and he's can be counted on. But the word ish, as opposed to the other names, the person of Adam, ish represents emotional maturity. So why do we use the language "V'chazakta v'yit la'ish"? It seems like the main advantage when you turn 13 is an advantage in the mind, that the person's mind develops. So why do we say la'ish? It says, what is the advantage of a 13-year-old? Is that time he becomes a person of knowledge intellectually. The das das is in the brain and the mind. Especially as explained in the Mamer that starts with Isa Medrash Tilim Tov Reish Nun Gimel, which was the Mamer that the previous Rebbe Chazer, we all Chazer it today at the Bar Mitzvah boys, was the Bar Mitzvah boy that the Chazer, Shehu Echad HaMaimorim. This was one of the Mamer, Shechozar Oisom Chveit Kedushas Merichom Admur, Chagigas HaBar Mitzvah Shloi, that my father-in-law, the Rebbe, recited this Mamer during his Bar Mitzvah celebration. So over there it explains the greatness of Das, Mailad Ben Yud Gimel Shonehi, that the advantage of the 13-year-old, She'oz Yeshloi Etzem HaMoichem, not just that he grows up, but he has Moichem, but he has the essence of the Moichem. So why is the specific emphasis, the specific language, the describing him by the ish? Ish is points to the level of midos, and why stand that out in that way? There is a note the Rebbe says there's various different madrigas, but we'll leave that for another time. Base. In the portion of the Mamer, this continuation of the Mamer that was said at that time, at the time of the 7th day of the Bar Mitzvah, over there in the year Tov Reish Nun Gimel, Mavur Mailus Yosef al Yaakov, over there he articulates, he explains the advantage from Yosef over Yaakov. The Rebbe will explain later on in the Mamer, the Rebbe will explain that even though the person naturally becomes an ish when he's 13, but it has to come through avodah. The Rebbe will also explain how the person reaches into a higher level etzem hamoichin dafke through the midos. But in the continuation, the Maimeri explains the advantage of Yosef over Yaakov. And what is the advantage? The hamshocha shal yidei Yaakov. Yaakov draws down things he be'atzilus that remains in the world of atzilus. Bal yidei Yosef, but through Yosef nimshach hagilui gam b'bial. Yosef, through Yosef, that revelation that Yaakov brings down to atzilus also brings down in bial. Why was the Rebbe Rashab, his father, discussing, of the Friedrich Rebbe, discussing the advantage of Yosef? Because, of course, that's the name of the Bar Mitzvah boy, was Yosef, and he wanted to also guide him, to instruct him as his namesake, that he should be bringing down even Lamato. Rebbe said, V'yesh loymar, we can say, This that in the Mamer of that starts with וחזקת והיית לאיש, medaber b'shvacha shel Yosef. He talks about the praise of Yosef, which is Shmoi Horishon Shel Habar Mitzvah, which is the first name of the Bar Mitzvah, Yosef Yitzchak and Yosef. Hugam, it's also in addition, Bichdei la'oider oisar ala havoida hamiyuchedes the Yosef, to encourage him, to arouse in him about the specific work that is designed and specifically for Yosef. That he needs to bring down the revelations till very below. That's why he discussed it. But first, the Rebbe had to explain the Maila of Yaakov that brings it down in Atzilus, and that will later on then be understood the advantage of Yosef that brings it down even lower. In order to explain the great advantage of Yosef. So first he explains the greatness of Yaakov. That way we will understand the great advantage of Yosef, that is even greater. First we explain the greatness of Yaakov, and then when we say Yosef is even greater, we can understand, appreciate the greatness of Yosef. He explains this by first bringing down the Posik Mashakosuf. We say it in the davening in Nehemiah Perik Tes Vov. So over there is 3 times the word Ato. We say first, Ato hu Havaya levadecha. You, Hashem, are alone. And here Ato is spelled with a Hey, Aleph Tov Hey. Ato Hashem levadecha. Then we say Ato Sisas Hashemayim. This one is without a Hey. We say Atos is you made the heavens and the earth. And then it says Ve'ato with additional Vav, and it's also spelled with the Hey. Mechayes Kulam vitalizes them all. So the Mamer explains over there what is the meaning of this posik. These 3 is Ato, and the second one doesn't have the Hey, and the third one comes Ve'ato. So it explains like this. Sheheim Gimel Madreges, these are 3 levels in the Ein Sof, and the way the Hamshocha from the Ein Sof comes down into the world. Ato hu Havai levadecha, the first Ato, which is you, Hashem, are alone. Koyal Oirin Sof Shelifnei HaTzimtzum, that is discussing Ein Sof, the way it's before the Tzimtzum, before the contraction, before the restriction. The Ein Sof before Tzimtzum. Over here, it's also 3 levels we're talking about. We're saying Ato, Hu, Havaya. We say Levadecha, you're alone. But Ato, you, Hu, Havaya, you are He, Hashem, Levadecha. So what is Hu, Havaya? So there's 3 matters in Lifnei HaTzimtzum. Ato, Hu, Havaya. What are the 3 levels? Ato hu atzmus hamor. Ato is the essence of the luminary, the essence of Hashem. Ba'omer al ze ato, we say you, because loshon noichach, that's present. Something which is present, something which is not present is who. That's the second sentence, ato hu. But ato, you, noichach, is the essence of the Ein Sof. Present, the essence of the Ein Sof is always present, because Atzmus is everywhere. There is no place where he's not, so he's always Lenoichach. Because the Atzmus is everywhere revealed. He is everywhere in an open way, so that's why he's At. The Shem Shamayim Shogur Bifi Koil, the name of Hashem is common in everybody's name. So you say, wherever you are, everybody says Hashem. There is Hashem. Then we have the other 2 words, Atahu Havaya. So Hu and Havaya, he. And Havaya and Beis Madreges Ba'oir. Those are the 2 levels in the Oir. The Ato is the Atzmus, and those are the 2 levels in the Oir, which is Etzem HaOir, the essence of the Oir, which is Hu. and be spashtus oir, and the expansion of the oir, which is Havaya, Hu and Havaya. Kimavur ba Mamer, as explained in the Mamer over there. Ba'omer al ze levadecha. Ata Hu Havaya levadecha arlo. What do you mean levadecha? That there is nothing else. Ein kan dover zulos ha'atzmus. There is nothing there besides the atzmus himself. Why? Because the level of even the oir and his pashtus oir lifnei tzimtzum is not an entity; it's included in the atzmus. Ki klolus oir shalifnei tzimtzum, for the general light which is before the tzimtzum. Gam ha'oir hashayich la'olam is also the oir that has a connection to the world, Havayet, the creator of the world. Not only Hu, but even the Havaya, who kolul ba'atzmus is included in the atzmus. Ve'enoi b'bchinas metzius, it's not in the level of being an entity. The next thing, that's Ato Hu Havaya levadecha. That's lifnei tzimtzum. The atzmus and the two madreges and the oir, etzem ha'oir, and his pashtus oir. Then you come to Ato Osisas Hashamayim Goimer. That is already talking who are oir kimoi shenase moker lisabus oilams. That is the oir as it becomes a source for creations of the world. Lochen kisiv, and that's why it's written Ato Osisa, without a hey, to show that there's something lacking, because it has to come through a tzimtzum in order for it to create, in order for it to become a mocker. So the world is created, it can't have that hay over there. That hay shows on the level of tzimtzum that it is lacking. Ato siso choser hay ki ha'oir, because the oir gam ha'oir hashayich la'olamis Havaya, for also the light which has a connection to the world, which is Havaya k'moishu lifnei hatzimtzum, as it is before the tzimtzum. Einoi be'erech liyesh moker la'olamis is not comparison to be as is a moker la'olamis if it's a full hay, if it's that light itself. Ubichdei sheyi a moker la'olamis, in order for it to become a source of the world, while yidei hatzimtzum is through the restriction. Shenis alam kol ha'oir, that the entire light has been obscured. The nimshach was hidden. The nimshach rak kav kotzer mitzumtzum, and there's only a short, restricted line that comes from lifnei hatzimtzum, after the tzimtzum. That's the hay that is missing. V'zeu ato sisas hashamayim goimer. This is what it says. Ato sisas hashamayim, etc. At choser hay. Ato missing the hay. The fact that the light becomes a source for oilmas, as the pasuk says, Osisas hashamayim, ato sisas hashamayim goimer. Hu al yidei shenis nechser v'nismayit as ato choser hay. That is by the fact that it's been lacking and diminished. Ato choser hay, without the hay. The third thing is va'ato mechayes kulam, and you vitalize them all. Hu hakav, that's the line. So the first one was his havos, creation, the kav kotzer. But mechayes kulam, that's the kav shal yodei nimshach chayes la'olamis. That is the line through which the vitality extends to the world, after they have been created, to create that line to give them their chayis. So that means we have two functions of the kav. The kav, as in the pasuk, Ato Osisas Hashamayim, that's the kav, the tzimtzum choser hay, which is his havus hoilamos, and then you have Ato mechayes kulam, which is the vitality that is nimshach after his habus. That it is one aspect that the kav is short and restricted. For that, from that, he creates world is mitziyas. They are into existence, and then the other aspect that it comes from the light which is before the tzimtzum. From that part, that way he brings down vitality in the world, which is Gilui Elokus, brings down revelation of godliness. Now this one is already Va'ato with a hey. Just like the first one. Because this idea in the kav that he vitalizes everything is because that in it extends the light of lifnei hatzimtzum from that full ato. In order to create, it goes through the ato, the lacking of the hay. But then the aspect that it gets chayis is because it's connected and it gets the gilu oil from the lifnei hatzimtzum. And the Rebbe explains now a word in the Mamer, Yesh Loimar. In the Mamer, the Zesha maybe Bahamamer, this is to explain this idea. We're saying now there is the Hisavus from the Kav Kotzer, and then there is the connection with the Lifnei HaTzimtzum, which is Mechaye, the Metzius that was created. This is also why in the Mamer, Behemshech Lezeh Sheva'at Mechaye is Kulam. After he says that Atamachayis Kulam goes, or is referring to the extending of the Kav, he brings down Haloshin that Tekune Zoyar, the Loshin that is in the Tekune Zoyar. Over there it says, Vahiu Nevio Iu Nishmoso Legufa, and that flow is like the soul to the body. The Ihi Chaim Legufa, that becomes the life of the body. Why is he bringing it down? To emphasize that when we say you vitalize everything, he's habus. That's not the idea in creation, because sometimes we have al tikra mechayel mahave. Don't pronounce it vitalizing, but creating, as we say in other places. But over here, we want to say mechaya means davke, and it's a mitzias that it's mechaya, elulin achayis, kemoy neshama mechayis aguf, just like the soul vitalizes the body. V'zehu shehakav hu briach hatichen, and this is the idea that the kav is called the middle pole in the Mishkan, that went through Mavriach, that middle pole circled around the entire Mishkan, Shu Mavriach u Mechaber, that rings through, that snakes through, and connects Bechinas Atahu Havai Levadecho, the Lifnei HaTzimtzum of Atahu Levadecho, in Bechinas Ato Sisas Hashamayim, with the level of Ato Sisas Hashamayim, Shekam Ba'olam Shenizhabu Alidei HaTzimtzum, so that also in the worlds that were created through the Tzimtzum, which is the Ato Choser Hei, Yumshach Behem Giluei Nisof HaBligvul Shalifnei HaTzimtzum, should be extended in them the revelation of the infinite, of the light of the Ein Sof that is before the Tzimtzum, the Atahu Havai Levadecho, that is Shel Levadecho, that is the Briach HaTichein, that is Mamshich Lifnei HaTzimtzum in the Achar HaTzimtzum. In Ois Gimel, the Rebbe will bring out that Davke in the oir that is Beikeya, that comes in Begilui after the Tzimtzum, it comes from a higher source than the oir Shalifnei HaTzimtzum. And that's why the oir Shalifnei HaTzimtzum, the Tzimtzum impacts it that it should not be Nizgala. But the oir that is Beikeya, that comes down Achar HaTzimtzum, that is actually Nizgala in Achar HaTzimtzum, and that means that it comes from a higher place. And how could that be? And the Rebbe says because it comes from a place which is higher than Gilui and Tzimtzum, and Mamer can come down also in Achar HaTzimtzum. And that's the Yisrael, that's the advantage of this. And the Madregas, therefore, Ata Shem Levadecha, that's the level of Atzmus. And then you have the blikvul of Atzmus, and Shemayim, Atos is Shemayim Be'oretz, that's the Gevul of Atzmus. And when we say Ve'ato B'chayes Kulom, Ve'ato, that's Megala Atzmus, which is in higher even than the blikvul of Atzmus. Let's look inside. Gimel. The fact that through the Kav, the revelation of the Ein Sof extends the Ein Sof from Lifnei HaTzimtzum into the world. The worlds of Achar HaTzimtzum. We have the Oir Lifnei HaTzimtzum extending into the world. So Moira, that points Sheyesh B'Yisra and Gam Lifnei Legabe Oir Shelifnei HaTzimtzum, that it has an advantage also with regards to the light that is before the Tzimtzum, which cannot come down, which the Tzimtzum blocked. The Oir Shelifnei HaTzimtzum Nis'alem Ha'idei HaTzimtzum, the light that was before HaTzimtzum, that became hidden, that was blocked through the Tzimtzum. V'hais almus shal yidei hatzimtzum. Now the Rebbe says this block that takes place to the Tzimtzum is not only in the oir that is shaykh lo'ilmus, it's even to the oir is higher than ilmus. V'hais almus shal yidei hatzimtzum yigam b'oir habligvul. Also in the oir habligvul shel l'maylam oir shaykh lo'ilmus, which is higher than the light which shaykh lo'ilmus. But what's the difference between the helem of the bligvul and the helem of the moker of the world, which is gevul, is a difference that shahis almus shahalomis shebeir zeh hu shenis alle v'nichlal b'mekoynei ve'einei meir begilui be'olamis. That what it's the disappearing, or that the not shining of the light that the Tzimtzum causes is that it goes up to its mocker, it doesn't shine begilu ba'olamis. And so that's even the oir hablikvul. Almost oir anyway is begilu ba'olamis. And when the gela elamais, it accomplishes that it's not felt. Zeh shemevur become mekoymesh lagabe oir habligvul einat tzimtzum master. And the Rebbe is saying that it does master even in the oir habligvul. We see in other places that relative to the oir habligvul lifnei tzimtzum einat tzimtzum master, it does not obscure, does not block. Ubenigeya lehaoir. That's as it relates to the oir isn't impacted by the tzimtzum. Shabi the osi yizborich hu meir begolui gam b'mokim hacholol. Because the Eberster's blessed knowledge knows it shines openly also in the mokim hacholol. Avol b'negei la'olamois shenishavu me'atzimtzum. but as it relates to the worlds that were created in the Tzimtzum, Paul at Tzimtzum, the Tzimtzum impacted Sha'oira Bligvul Lo Yurgash Be'oilumes, so that the Bligvul Oir shall not be felt in the world. The Rebbe is explaining here in the brackets, what does it mean that we say that the Tzimtzum impacted it, that it doesn't shine Begilu Ba'olamais when in other places it's Mevur, that the Tzimtzum did not impact the Oir HaBligvul itself. It doesn't impact it. So the Rebbe says what we say it doesn't impact, which is from the perspective of the Oir, but from the perspectives of the Oilamois who were created from the Tzimtzum did impact that the Oir HaBligvul should not be felt in the Oilamois. But now we have the Kav, the fact that through the Kav the Gilu comes in the world. So also that in the world should sense, feel the revelation. This point to the fact that it has an advantage over the light, which is before the Tzimtzum. Gam al Oira Bligvul, also on the light, the infinite light of Lifnei Tzimtzum. Like he explains in the Mamer, the fact that the Kav breaks through the darkness of the Tzimtzum, that every time something breaks through, it comes because of an increase of strength, force. Because the root, from where does the oil that breaks through and it gets that extra strength to break through the Choshech HaTzimtzum, is because it comes from the oil which is before the Tzimtzum. Higher than the oil Shalifnei HaTzimtzum, and that's why you can break through the Tzimtzum. So this is a higher level than the oil HaBligvul Shalifnei HaTzimtzum, and that's why you can break through the Tzimtzum. You can say, what's the explanation? Why the oil HaBligvul cannot come down, but this oil HaKav can come down even and break through, even through the Tzimtzum? So we can say the explanation is the Zesha Oir Shalifnei HaTzimtzum Efsher Shiyove Begilui B'Ha'ilum Shenishabu MaTzimtzum. The fact that the Oir Lifnei HaTzimtzum cannot come revealed in the worlds that were created from the Tzimtzum, Umipnei Sha'Oir Shu Gilui B'Tzimtzum Shu Elam Mavchim. Because Oir, which is revelation, Tzimtzum restriction, Shuhelim, is obscure, opposite. So it cannot come down from the Oir to the Begilu. But the fact that through the Kav we bring down the Gilu of Ein Sof, that's before the Tzimtzum, is from the level of Tiferes, which is hidden. So that includes and that connects opposites, the revelation and Tzimtzum. And that's the source of the Kav, and that's why it can come down also through Tzimtzum, because it's higher than Gilu and Tzimtzum together. So this turns out that what is the explanation in these three levels in the pasuk map? So based on this, we can explain that these three aspects that the pasuk talks about. First, Ato hu Hashem levadecha. 2, Ato sisas hashemayim. 3, Ato mechayes kulam. Shemaschilim b'tevas Ato. They all begin with the words Ato. Sha'ato moira ala atzmus kenal siv beis. Other points to Atzmus, that's Noichach, it's always there. Those are three different ways the way Atzmus comes revealed. You Hashem levadecha hu kilui ha'oirein sova blikvul da'atzmus. That's the revelation of the Ein Sof and the believable of Atzmus. He is found everywhere. There's no existence without him. That's Atahu Avai Levadecha. You, Hashem, alone. Because whatever Atzmus is, there is no other Metzias, and that's why it's Levadecha. Then Atos Yishas Hashemayim Kemer. Hu Gilui Koyach HaGvul Sheba Atzmus. That is the revelation of the power for limitation Atzmus. The ability not to shine, the level of Tzimtzum. L'mayla Yoser. And the third, that's one level. The idea of inyan dimetziuse me'atzmusei, the inyan atosisa sheshamayim, the koyach hagvul sheba'atzmus, and revealing the fact that metziuse me'atzmusei, that his existence is me'atzmusei, because that's the only way could be atosisa sheshamayim. As a Shemayim B'Sa'oretz, that's the way to make Shemayim B'Oretz, which is only in the Koyach of Ein Sof. Ugilu Koyach Shva'ad Rechesh L'Olamaya in the Tzuz Matzmusay. Kidua she's Habus Hayesh or Sisus Shemayim to make Shemayim, to make a Yesh Goimer. Urag B'Koyach Atzmus Shemitzius Matzmusay, which is in the power of Atzmus Mitzius Matzmusay. So basically, the second step, the Atos Sisas Shemayim, is first the koyach hagvul sheba'atzmus, and also the revealing metzius ma'atzmusa, because that becomes the ability to create. Because hisabus hayesh comes from metzius ma'atzmusa. And the third aspect is v'atom chayes kulam hu gilui hapshitas da'atzmos. That reveals the simplicity, not gvul and not bligvul. That is not defined by revelation and obscuring. And that's why he can connect them both together. That's why he can come down from Bligvul, from higher, because of its root in Pshitus the Atzmos, it can come down in the Oilamos from Lifnei HaTzimtzum. Is Machabesh Neim Kechot. Zohu Mashakosu, and that's why it says Ve'ato Machayis Chum, but a Vav, Ve'ato B'Teishus Vav. Shemoire, that points al Agilu the Atzmus Ein Sof, of the revelation of Atzmus Ein Sof, Shebekavam Tzoi Tiferes, which is in the middle line Tiferes, Shemechaber Shnei HaFochim, the Chesed and Gevura. That combines the two opposites of Chesed and Gevura. As it's known, be'inyan Godel Hagibra v'Hanoira. Godel Gibra v'Hanoira. There's the three kavim: Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes, and then it says v'Hanoira. So Godel is Chesed, Gedula is Chesed, and Gibra is Gevura. Noira is Tiferes. Shem begimel hakavim Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes. The Mashakosu v'Hanoira b'Teishus Vav. It says v'Hanoira. Why does it say God? Ki b'Tiferes yeshne hagilui the Atzmus Ein Sof, because in Tiferes there is the revelation of the essence of Ein Sof shalamayla mizchalkus kavin, which is higher than the dividing of the lines of Chesed and Gevura. Keil Elyon. So he said. Kail, Hagodlo, I give a Neiro, Kail Elyon. That's through the higher source that it has, he combines the two opposite Chesed and Gevura. This is also one of the explanations. That is Yaakov, who is also the Sfiras of Tiferes, Abraham Chesed, Yitzchak Gevura, and Yaakov Tiferes is the level of Yiboka. Yaakov has the same letters as breaking through. As we say, Oz Yiboka K'shachar Erecha. It'll break through, as the morning breaks through, your light will break through like the morning. The fact that the light, breaks through the darkness of the tzimtzum, and it extends also into the worlds that were created from the tzimtzum, because the root, from where does it come? The tiferes, is from the hidden tiferes, which is the measure of Yaakov, and that's the three ways of the gilui, of the atzmos, through bligvul, through gvul, and through the pshitas that is mechaber both of them through tiferes hanelam.